Hello, my name is Tanisha Moore, and I'll be presenting a keynote address over the New York Times versus Sullivan case. This defamation case took place between the dates of January 6, 1964 to March 9, 1964. The parties involved in this case were the New York Times newspaper and Commissioner L.B. Sullivan. The New York Times published the article "Heed Their Rising Voices" regarding a nonviolent civil rights demonstration held by Alabama State University students, which turned violent when the police intervened. Sullivan sued the New York Times for libel, arguing that the allegations against the police reflected on him personally. Sullivan did not like the way he was being blamed and criticized for the activities that had taken place. Although Sullivan's name was not mentioned in the article, he felt the allegations were targeted towards him since he is the commissioner. The article gave vivid details of the occurrences that had taken place on this day. Sullivan's identity was not revealed in the article, but only gave details of what the police did to start the violence. He felt he was being held responsible as the person that directed the actions of the police. So therefore, he decided to start a libel case. The plaintiff must prove all of the following things in order to win a libel case. Those things being publication, identification, defamation, fault, falsity, and injury. Publication, for the purpose of libel, means that at least one person, in addition to the writer and the defamed person, saw or heard the material. In this case, the writer and the defamed person, which is Sullivan, and those that read the article, which was posted in the New York Times, they all heard the material. Identification. The plaintiff must show that the statement was of and concerning him, her, or it. A plaintiff can be defamed, however, without being explicitly named. In this case, that would apply to Sullivan's libel case. He was not mentioned in the article, but he felt like the article was being directed towards him. Defamation. Defamation is saying something negative about a person's character that causes others to think less of that person. Fault. The plaintiff has to show that the defendant was at fault in publishing the defamatory statement. Falsity. The court reasoned that public officials and public figures are required to show falsity as part of actual malice, and that the First Amendment protects speech about public figures and matters of public concern. In this case, Sullivan would be considered a public official and public figure because he was the commissioner of the Montgomery Police Department. So there are special laws that apply to him in libel cases. And lastly, injury. There are 3 types of damages that can be rewarded in a civil lawsuit. Those 3 damages are general, special, and punitive. In Sullivan's case, the general damage does apply to him, and that reads, if public officials, all-purpose public figures, and limited-purpose public figures are able to prove actual malice on the part of the defendant, the court presumes that the defamatory statements injured them. These plaintiffs are then awarded general damages, which is a sum of money to compensate them for their presumed loss of reputation and injury to their good name. It also is meant to compensate them for their presumed pain and suffering. And that quote was taken from the textbook, Gower, page 81. The Supreme Court's decision was found that Sullivan had been criticized for the manner in which he had conducted his official business. Therefore, Sullivan was awarded $500,000. for his defamation lawsuit. Sullivan case has definitely affected the way I will conduct my career as a future publicist. This case will allow me to be more mindful of how I direct my writings and also to verify my allegations. In Sullivan's case, he felt like the writings were directed towards him, even though the writers of the article might not have been trying to be malicious. Sullivan had enough proof to the courts that he felt that it was, in his opinion, that they were directing maliciousness towards him. And also verifying my allegations. Your source must be accurate. They must be telling the truth. If they're not telling the truth, that could affect your career and your reputation. And lastly, I will also be more aware of those that could be affected by the material in my work. This will conclude my presentation. I used the textbook, Legal and Ethical Considerations for Public Relations by Carla K. Gower as my guide for creating this presentation. Thank you for your time.